There is breaking news in the JFK assassination, and it's big. I have found a logic error in the program created for the Secrets of a Homicide JFK Assassination. This logic error is the reason that the computer placed the trajectory for the headshot at a point ending 124 feet above the roof of the Dow Tex building. Before I begin, let me emphasize that there is a big difference between a logic error and a programming error. With a programming error, the instructions in the program are wrong. The computer either cannot run the program or it cannot return an answer, at least an answer that makes any sense. With a logic error, the computer functions properly, but the answer it returns is not correct because the program was designed to use the wrong process. In this case, the computer returned an answer that the bullet came from a point 124 feet above the roof of the Dow Tex building, and that is not possible. Here's how the error occurred. Mr. Myers calculated the trajectory using the angle of the tilt of the head, just like one calculates the trajectory when there is a slope in the road. In a case where there's a downward slope, one adds the downward angle of the road to the angle of the wound. But in this case, Mr. Myers added the angle of the head tilt to the angle of the wound. While this sounds logical, it's incorrect. To show you why this is incorrect, let's look at the steps that Mr. Myers took to find the bullet's origin. He started with the computer program calculating the downward angle of the tilted head. The angle was 27 degrees, which I have no doubt is the correct angle of the head. Then on a diagram of the head, he placed the entrance point of the bullet, which is well known. Next, he placed the estimate of the exit point of the bullet on the program. He then measured the angle of the path of the bullet between these 2 points at 5 degrees. Now this calculation of the angle between the 2 points is actually the trajectory of the bullet. To this angle he should have added the angle of the slope of the road to find the angle of the rifle, and therefore its placement. But instead he added the 27-degree head tilt to the 5-degree angle of the path of the bullet through the head, which equals 32 degrees. Then he projected a line from the entry point on the head at 32 degrees to a point of 124 feet above the roof of the Dow Tex building. What he did not understand was this. The tilt of the head has nothing to do with determining the angle of the trajectory of the bullet. The angle of the trajectory from the roof to the victim will be the same no matter what angle the head is tilted to. And this is completely different from adding the tilt of the road to the wound to find the angle of the rifle. Why? Because the angle of the road changes the angle of the entire body, including the head. Rotating the head only changes where the bullet enters and exits the head. Rotation of the head does not affect the trajectory angle in any way. I know this is confusing, so I will give you an example that should clarify this for you. Imagine 2 assassins standing side by side on the edge of the roof of the Dow Tex building, 310 feet from an open limousine traveling away from the assassins. In the back seat of the limousine are 2 intended victims who are identical twins. They are sitting side by side, backs to the assassins, and with their heads in the ordinary portrait position. The 2 assassins who are holding their rifles at the same angle fire simultaneously. Just as they are firing, the twin on the left looks down at a 27-degree angle. The twin on the right looks upward at a 30-degree angle. The question is, has the change in the angle of the heads changed the angle of the trajectory of either or both of the bullets? The answer is no. The bullets still pass through both of the heads at the same angle. However, because both of the heads are tilted at very different angles, the points of entry and exit on the head are completely different for each twin. After correcting this error, it becomes obvious that the calculation of the bullet's trajectory through the head is also wrong. Mr. Myers made an error in his estimate of where the exit wound should be placed. One can tell there's an error because there's only a 5-degree vertical angle between the entry and exit wounds. We know that from both the 6th floor window of the school book depository building and the roof of the Dow Tex building, the downward angle is the same at these distances. The downward trajectory of the bullet to the president was measured at 14 degrees. Based on that, after subtracting the approximately 3-degree slope of the road, the angle of the wound through the head should be 11 degrees. How did this error occur? He estimated the point of the exit wound and then determined the angle between the entry and exit wounds. This methodology is correct, but given the very large area affected by the bullet at the point of exit, it is almost impossible for anyone to accurately place the exact point of the exit by estimation. Fortunately, There are very accurate alternative methods to determine the exit point, and these methods are very simple and easy to use. As stated in Part 1b, 2011, one only needs to know 2 of 3 points to accurately determine the trajectory angle. Those 3 points are the location of the end of the rifle, the point of the entrance wound, and the point of the exit wound. In this case, we know where the end of the rifle was and where the point of the entrance wound was located. Therefore, we can measure the trajectory angle, which is 14 degrees. One can find the point of the exit by extending the line from the rifle through the entrance wound until it exits the head. Also, another, even easier way that is just as accurate. Because the angle of the trajectory from the rifle to the point of entry is known to be 14 degrees, one can simply find the placement of the exit wound by doing the math. Take the 14-degree angle from the rifle minus the approximate 3 degrees for the slope of the road, which leaves 11 degrees. Then draw a line at 11 degrees downward from the entrance wound to the point where the line exits the head. Then mark the spot. See how easy math is? And the bonus is that one does not have to worry about it being accurate. Doing the math is the most accurate way there is to determine this. When these errors are corrected, the placement of the assassin for the headshot should be on the roof of the Daltex building, about 33 feet from the corner of the west and south sides of the building, which is the Elm Street side. This is where I've previously placed the origin of the shot, with 2 independent methods confirming this location. It is a fact that this is the spot the assassin was at when the shot was fired. This also means that Mr. Meyer's placement of the exit wound is too high. His placement is about 6 degrees above the correct position. Additionally, there is a 15-degree sideways tilt to the head to figure in. The exit wound needs to be even slightly lower than the correction of 6 degrees. Both of these items, combined with the 25-degree turn of the head to the left, means that in addition to the lowering the point of the exit on the right side, the exit wound will also be closer to the midline of the skull, if not on or slightly behind the midline. This midline placement is supported by the skin and skull flap seen in frame Z314 and after, and in one of the autopsy photos. There is additional support for this in Part 8c, where I discuss rotation of the head as seen in the Zapruder film and why it occurred. I will close by saying that in no way should any of these 2 errors be seen as something that detracts from or somehow diminishes Mr. Meyer's brilliant work. Secrets of a Homicide, JFK Assassination. Not only did he deserve an Emmy for his work in transforming a 2-dimensional movie into a 3-dimensional movie, but as I stated in my work, the JFK Assassination, Do the Math series, that I could not have succeeded in my placement of the assassin without his calculations of the positions of the victims and their entry wounds. Thanks for watching.